Hello, beautiful people. I am extremely delighted to welcome you to your favorite show, PM Personality Profile. My guest tonight, one of the few women making a bold statement for the contribution of women in the academia. She is currently the first ever female to become Vice Chancellor at the University of Ghana. And she is currently the youngest Vice Chancellor in Ghana. Professor Nana Appiah Amfo, my guest tonight. Happy to see you. How have you been?
I'm fine, Aisha. Good to see you too.
Great.
And Happy New Year.
Many happy returns, and congratulations for being the first ever, female Vice Chancellor and the youngest. Must have come with a lot of hard work.
Well, thank you very much. It's been quite a journey, and I'm glad I'm where I am currently. Yes, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of focus, but also it's been amazing and exciting having people to guide, mentor, support along the way. It hasn't been as a result of my singular efforts, but the collective effort of my many supporters and mentors, students, faculty, colleagues.
Let's talk about the journey so far. And until your appointment, you were Vice Chancellor of Academics and Students Affairs. Right. I mean, you started as a lecturer at the Department of Linguistics, and you became chairperson of the department and dean of the School of Languages.
That's correct.
I mean, it must have been a tough journey.
Well, it was a step at a time. As you rightly said, I started out here at the University of Ghana as a lecturer. I rose through the ranks as we say, senior lecturer, associate professor. I became...
So now you're a full professor?
Yes, wow. I am, yeah. I became the head of department at the time when I was associate professor, and subsequently became dean of the School of Languages. Actually the founding dean when the school was established, when the university went fully collegiate in 2014. And then I the Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs, acting Vice Chancellor, and then Vice Chancellor. It's been a step at a time, and when you are engaged in doing things that you love doing, you don't really see that as a chore, and you move from one step to the other, and before you realize, you can look back and see, oh wow, this is how the journey has been like. And how it's been pleasurable, I must say.
Okay. Of course, I know that the road hasn't been very straight.
Absolutely.
Definitely there's been curves, there's been rough patches. What would you describe as your biggest challenge climbing the ladder?
I think my biggest challenge was the combination of being female and youngish looking. I say youngish looking because I'm relatively young, but not as young as sometimes people think I am. And as a female, there are certain limits that society put on us. Yes, it's okay to get a degree, as a master's degree, even a PhD, be a lecturer and so on, but when you begin to veer into certain leadership spaces, then some people, sometimes unconsciously, but sometimes also consciously, sometimes subtly, sometimes not so subtly, begin to wonder, what is she doing in this space? And when you are also youngish looking, they think you are young and
you're not
female,
supposed to be here.
You're not supposed to be here. Where do you think you are headed towards, and all of that? So,
but bullying.
It's some attempted bullying, I must say, because I wouldn't let you I wouldn't let you bully me. So I would say that has been my greatest challenge. But when you are focused, you are confident in yourself, you know your job, it's very difficult for people to succeed in bullying you in these spaces.
Have you ever been down because of some of these things that, I mean, sometimes it's even male dominated, and you find yourself there, young, all of them are older, and they're like, what's she doing? What does she think she's doing? And they try to frustrate you. Have you ever gone through that? I
mean, there have been difficult periods. Certainly there have been difficult periods. But overall, I don't let these things get to me too much. You focus on the work that you are doing. You try to be proficient in what you are doing. Be confident, be conversant with your job. Then people, even though they try, they don't have any good reason to get at you. But if you are not, if you are sloppy with what you're doing, then you provide the opportunity for people to get at you.
Has there ever been a time that you wanted to give up? Like, I mean, why did I even get myself here? I mean, I don't want to do this again.
Yes, I do remember that when I first became Pro-Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs, it was a tough period for me, and I remember one time telling my very good friend that I don't think I want to be here. I think I was better off being dean, and she said, stop talking that that way. So yes, there've been those moments as well.
And those pressures were coming from where? Students or your colleague teachers or?
Oh, I mean, students can't give you that can't give me that kind of pressure, but I mean, more from the environment, the boardroom environment, and the as I said, the subtle and not so subtle pressures and challenges that your colleagues try to throw at you.
Let's talk about your research areas, and it's been mainly linguistics, discipline of what, pragmatics?
Yes.
What exactly is that? And what has your research found?
Pragmatics is it's essentially language use in context.
Okay.
Aisha, have you ever encountered a situation where you say something and then somebody responds or retorts in a certain way, and then you say, I didn't mean that.
Okay.
But you said that.
Okay.
You didn't mean that. So there's definitely oftentimes there is a gap between what you say and what you mean.
More like saying it right.
And what you mean is interpreted within particular context, which is influenced by your beliefs, by your environment, by geography, by culture, and so on and so forth. So pragmatics essentially is about language use in particular context. And for the past number of years, I have been engaged and interested in language use in specific domains. So I've been interested in language and health, language and gender, language and politics, and even language in migratory context.
Okay.
So one of the interesting pieces of work that I did some time back with other colleagues in the health sciences, a psychiatrist and a public health specialist, was to look at the language of mental health within our communities. And so how do we express issues relating to mental health? That provides us an idea of how the people, the culture, what they think and what they feel about the condition of mental health. And it becomes a tool for us to even educate the community with regard to how we are to support people living with mental illnesses.
Okay. Quite interesting revelations there. And your modernization and digitization drive has really caught the attention of many. How has it been so far?
Well, so far so good. I mean, we haven't gone as fast as I anticipated for all the obvious reasons, but we've done pretty well with the classroom modernization. It's in progress. Last December, I outdoored the first classroom, which is the K. Buzia lecture theater that has been modernized. We have our projectors, our screens, and interactive board. The classroom is such that if you are a lecturer and assuming that you had to attend a conference in Germany in the course of the semester, you could be there and deliver your lecture, and your students could be in class. And students can be outside of the classroom and also tune in. That provides us an opportunity to manage our numbers without necessarily a brick and mortar situation. So we are on course. We got slowed down a bit with the various strike actions that we encountered last year. Of course, the economic situation also made prices escalate, and we had to redo almost all of the contracts that we signed. So that slowed things down a bit, but we are certainly on course. For our one student, one laptop project too, we are steadily on that. Last, I think it was October or November, that we had the first disbursement to a group of needy students. I think about 120 of them. We are planning another one early this year. We are also having our laboratories modernized and refurbished. Only last week, the School of Social Sciences, led by the Department of Political Science, they outdoored 2 ICT laboratories that have been restocked and refurbished. And so we are on course. The various departments and units are also doing their bit within their specific units.
Let me gauge your mood on this confusion about the Commonwealth Hall and the matters arising. What really necessitated this decision?
Well, it was to allow for us to progressively have an in-out policy, so that for the university owned halls, we prioritize our freshers, and that is what is done the world over. In particular reference to Commonwealth Hall and Saba Hall, we kind of accelerated the policy, and it is against the backdrop of the 3 clashes that we had in the past academic year, each one with the violence progressing, more destruction to property and lives. And so we decided that we're going to essentially evacuate these halls, the Commonwealth Hall and the males, the continuing students, the males in Mensa Saba Hall, and bring in freshers and graduate students, relocate them to the UGL hostels, and each one of the legally resident students in these halls were given allocations in our UGL halls.
So I mean, after level 100,
yes, after level 100, then you move out to the private hostels, and for another group of fresh students. And we appreciate that these are our most vulnerable students, and so we need to prioritize when it comes to university accommodation.
And that was only for these 2 halls?
It's a policy that we are progressively rolling out in all of the university managed halls. Yes, the traditional halls, as we say them, as we call them. But in the particular case of Commonwealth and the males in Mensa Saba, because of what happened in the past academic year and the need for us to safeguard lives and property, we don't want to wait till someone's child dies on this university campus for management to be blamed for just not doing anything.
Okay.
So we had to accelerate that. But that's a policy which is affecting all our traditional halls.
Okay.
Just that we are rolling that out progressively.
So of course, there's also been issues of accommodation. Recently, freshers have had to struggle with accommodation and what have you. I mean, and this has been around for some time. What is the university doing about this?
Well, Aisha, as I said earlier on, you just mentioned that freshers struggling for accommodation. And as a university, we need to prioritize our most vulnerable students. And these are our freshers. The university has grown in student numbers over the years.
Definitely.
And it's just a peculiar situation with our campuses here that we are largely residential. I mean, all over the world, the universities, you don't get every university student living on campuses, even for those campuses that are partly residential in nature. But I believe that this is a problem that we have as a country, because it's, for instance, we don't have a viable transportation system in place for students to live, let's say, in Adenta, Kaswa, Spintex Road, and commute conveniently, knowing that when I leave home, or where I live, wherever I'm staying in a hostel at this particular time in the morning, I'll be able to make it for my scheduled lecture at 7:30 or 9:30. And so I understand it when almost everyone wants to live on campus. The university management is making effort to increase the stock of accommodation that we have. There is a hostel ongoing just behind Jean Aka Hostel, and we are working extremely hard to ensure that come next academic year that is on board. Maybe from here you can go and look at it, and hopefully that should add about between 900 and 1,000 bed to our stock. And we are also in discussions with private developers. We've actually leased lands to private developers to develop hostel. And UGEL, which is the University of Ghana Enterprises Limited, is also engaging some prospective developers so that we can increase the number of beds that we have on campus for our students. So I shall promise you that next academic year there'll be more beds added on, and as the years go by, you see more and more beds being added on.
That's really refreshing to hear, because sometimes it's pathetic when you hear some of the freshers talk about accommodation, and you see how huge University of Ghana is, and if you live in Kaswa, for instance, it will be difficult. So that will be refreshing to see more of the rooms and beds provided for students. But recently also the education minister has been talking about, in fact he's worried about courses that are taught in the universities which he thinks do not prepare students for the job market, and which he thinks must be scrapped. What's your view on this?
That's very interesting. The comment was made in particular reference to graduate unemployment. And I think you and I know that it's a complex issue. It's a complex issue, and there are various things which various individuals and sectors need to do. As a university, yes, we need to improve our programs, but more importantly, I'm even more concerned about, yes, the content, not so much about the programs, but more about the content, the delivery, and the modes of assessment. Because apart from those professional programs, like medicine, pharmacy, nursing, even law. When you finish from here, you would have to go. Yes, you have to do the professional program.
Yes.
So right here at the university, we essentially just prepare you for the professional program.
Right.
And that's the case with most of our programs. In particular, I mean, these comments are often said with regard to the liberal arts generally.
Yeah.
And what do we seek to do with university education? I think we should not lose sight of that. Ultimately, what university education seeks to do is to build certain general skills in our students and our graduates.
Yeah.
And these include, critical thinking skills, analytical skills, communication,
Correct.
and today I add technology to that we need to train students who are technologically adept, irrespective of whatever discipline that you are undertaking here, whether it's geography, whether it's pharmacy, whether it's theater arts. You need these skills in the 21st century. And I can assure you that that's what my management is leading here. For specific disciplines, people sometimes pick up on disciplines, as I said, in the liberal arts, like philosophy, like linguistics and so on. But let's ask ourselves, when we look at world-class universities, have they stopped offering these programs? No. The society needs a mix of persons to be able to function properly. Can you imagine a society just full of scientists? There are no humanists, there are no geographers, there are no entertainers. How is it going to look like? So we need different kinds of people, people with different background, with these skills that they can fit into different sectors. Because I mean, for most people, they would move from one company to the other, and when you move from one company to the other, what you need are the transferable skills. For each specific company, you would need that context, you would need that in-house training to be able to fit into that. Generally also, I mean, so as a university, we are constantly reviewing our programs, which we should, and as I said, the delivery, the content, the modes of assessment, because these are the things that are able to bring out the potential of critical thinking, analytical skills, communication skills. And let me mention that we cannot leave the responsibility of training people for the job market solely on universities. Mind you, universities are not trade schools. The industry should also help, offering opportunities for internships while students are in school, so that by the time they are done, they have an idea of how the world of work works. But also, Aisha, sometimes I see students, I look at their background, I look at their performance, and I say that they are students who are at the university, students who are struggling to come to the university, who have no business being in the universities. But it appears that following from senior high school, there are no viable alternatives. So everyone who is going to senior high school think that they should end up at the university. That's something that we need to look at a society and provide viable options from our students from the basic level through the secondary level. University is not meant for everyone, But as I said, when they don't see viable options, then they think that they should be here, and they find it tough being here. They don't really appreciate the kind of training that we are trying to offer them here.
Yeah.
And then also, if you have an economy which is not expanding, I mean, you will train the students, but how do they get absorbed?
Sure,
I say that let's go to the companies here in Ghana. Those working there, where were they trained?
Yeah.
They were trained right in our universities, but there isn't room to absorb everyone who passes through the university.
Yeah.
So it's a multi-faceted issue, and it cannot be that simplistic.
Professor Nana Aba Appiah Amfo, she's my guest tonight, and we're having fun on this. I'm learning a lot from her. When I return from this break, remember, she's the first female vice chancellor of the University of Ghana. That's a big deal for me personally. And also, she's the youngest vice chancellor in Ghana. She has a very interesting growing up. I mean, she grew up in Kumasi, but particularly, what did she want to become whilst growing up? She wanted to do linguistics, or deal with languages, or say it right, or she wanted to be in the academia. When I return from this break, she'll be sharing all those memories with us. I mean, what were the fond memories growing up in Kumasi, and the terrible moments as well? She'll be sharing all of that. Wait for me, I'm coming right back. Welcome back to PM Personality Profile. My guest, Professor Nana Aba Appiah Amfo, Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. Prof, I know you were born in Kumasi.
Yes, I was.
Is that where you hail from?
No, that's
Which
not
part of the
where
country
where I
do you
hail from. I come from Sokori Kufuridia.
Okay. Kufuridia
yeah.
flowers.
Yes, yes, I'm a flower. I'm a flower.
I can see that.
I'm a flower, yes. My dad came from Nyanabasa in the central region.
Okay.
But you know, we are matrilineal, and so I do come from where my mom came from.
Okay.
And that's Kufuridia, Sokori.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were born in Kumasi?
Yes, I was born in Kumasi. I lived there for just about 4 years, and then we moved to Sekendi, Takrady. We were living in Sekendi, and I schooled in Takrady Services Primary, and from there we moved on to Takwa, the mining town of Takwa.
Okay.
And my dad went to work there for some time, and then to Koforidia.
So your mom had to join your dad in Kumasi, or how did you end up in Kumasi?
So yeah, my mom, both parents were teachers.
In Kumasi.
Were teachers. I mean, my dad had career path, but my mom remained a teacher, a high school teacher.
Okay.
And worked a bit in the office of the Ghana Education Service.
Okay.
And so she worked as a teacher till she retired. So my dad was in Kumasi working then, and she joined him from Tamale. Her first post after graduating from the Specialist Training College, now the University of Education Winneba, was Tamale Secondary School.
Okay.
But had to seek transfer to join my dad in Kumasi.
Okay.
And then my dad left Kumasi. He went into sports administration, and so he at some point was the regional sports organizer for the Western region, and so went to Sekendi Takrady, and then my mom had to follow, so it was like that, following him around
wherever he goes. So at what age did you leave Kumasi?
Oh, about 4 years, because I started kindergarten proper in Takrady.
In Takrady.
Yeah.
Okay, and you stayed in Takrady till what time?
Yes, we were living in Sekendi schooling in Takoradi. My mom was teaching at Fijai Secondary School at the time, and we stayed there till I was going to class 5, because I went to classes 5 and 6 in Takwa Goldfields Schools Complex.
Okay, let's talk about growing up in secondary. How would you describe the environment?
Oh, it was a nice environment. It was a nice environment.
And all the rich people were in Takoradi.
Oh, my dad was then the regional sports organizer, so we lived at Rage in Sekendi. It was a nice environment. I remember the memories I have of there is going to the regional library. I loved to read, and so I'd go to the library with my brother. He died, you know, so my late brother would go to the library, and we will borrow books, and then in no time finish reading the books and return them. So at some point I was allowed to borrow a number of books at a time, so that I don't have to quickly go back to return those books. And I mean, I do remember Jendu Park too, because I would go to the stadium with my dad, enjoy the games, hang around with him, generally have fun. My dad also loved to play tennis, and I remember my brother and we would have the responsibility of tying up his shoes and so on. So yeah, it was fun.
And so did you learn how to play tennis?
I played tennis for a little bit, but I didn't sustain it.
You gave up. Right, but of course, I mean, so those are fond memories of growing up in Takoradi. Were there terrible moments as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, growing up, of course, from Takoradi, we went to Takwa. I mean, we lived through the difficult period of the 80s, you know, and my mom, being the teacher and the industrious woman that she was, you know, would do other things to support the family income, you know, pastries here and there, ice cream, bread, and we had to help her out, you know, in selling these things at various points in time.
We used to go from house to house, asking, do you want some bread? Do you want some pastries? You
know, ice cream, even abolo, you know.
Okay, she used to make that as well.
Yes, yeah, she used to make those things.
Okay, and so how were you advertising for your stuff when you had to go from house to house to sell those things?
Yes, so you would take these things around, and no, I don't remember that I used to have to scream, you know, Bologna or things like that. I remember that at some point it was on a school compound that we would go and sell these things, and then we would also carry bread to the retailers, let me put it that way, the customers who would then sell these on.
Interesting. So primary school, you said at the University Primary School?
Yes, so I started nursery in Kumasi. My mom was teaching at the Technology Secondary School. I believe it's now KNUST Secondary School. And so that's where I started the nursery there, and then came to properly start school in Services Primary, and then on to Goldfields Schools Complex. So it was from there that I went to secondary school at Holy Child's.
And Holy Child's. Tell me about the experience in Holy Child.
Well, you know, for us during those periods, we spent a long time in secondary school, you know.
Why?
5, 7 years, because
you did all A
O
level
and A level,
yes. Okay, but
O
you did it
A.
at 2 separate
Exactly.
schools.
Yes, right. So you spend a long time in school. At the time that you are starting, you are still quite young. Your values are still forming and all of those. So for me, I had the opportunity to be in Catholic girls' schools, and if you know anything about Catholic girls' schools, there's
the strictness.
Yes. The strictness. You know, the training that you are offered there. It is to ensure that you get things right, you get your values right, you are disciplined, you combine studying with all the other things, you know, working, laying your bed, ensuring that your environment is all clean, and all of those. So I mean, it was good training. Usually when you are going through these moments, it's not always nice. You want to have your own way, you want to do things in your own time, at your own pace, but things are very regimented there. But later in life you realize that these they've built in values, you know, and systems which really help you as an individual to be disciplined, to be able to multitask. And that's one thing that, you know, as women we have to do a lot, because we have our responsibilities at work, we have our responsibilities at home, we have our responsibilities within the society, and you have to manage all of these effectively. And the period that we spent those days in these schools really prepared us for life ahead without we even knowing.
Definitely, and of course, you know that is paying now. But whilst at Holy Child, what kind of a student were you?
Oh, I think all of my life I've been a pretty serious student.
Okay.
I've been a pretty serious student. I wasn't the troublesome one. I can assure you that I wasn't one of the trouble causers. I've generally been law abiding, taking my books seriously, generally being consistent, being consistent, and enjoying the moment, making friends and relationships which have really lasted a lifetime. But I wasn't one of the naughty ones.
So you never got into any trouble both at Holy Child and Archbishop Potter Girls?
Oh, I'm sure I did, in the context of a group, you know.
Okay, what happened?
in the context of a group. Maybe the little naughty things that I would do. I actually had a mate and a dorm mate that you know, I was Nanaba Appiah, and then she was Ifwada Appiah, and those days there were very few of us with local names, and we had, you see our names, and sometimes the seniors will mix us up. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we claimed we were cousins. Okay. And then they'll mix us up, so I'll be going, and then they'll be referring to me as Ifwada. Of course, I'm not Ifwada Appiah, so I'm not going to mind you and things like that. But really, big trouble, no. I mean. Okay,
so I mean, you didn't.
I didn't run away from school to no. I wasn't that daring.
Then from there you went to the Norwegian University.
Well, I came to University of Ghana first.
Norwegian University of Science and Technology for your MPhil and PhD, right? And at the University of Ghana, which hall were you?
I was in Mensa Saba Hall,
okay.
F90.
How was the experience at the university?
Oh,
And how does it feel that you're back here?
It was a very interesting experience. You know, I mean, for those of us who had been to girls' schools, very protected and all of that, you know, from also very protective homes. You come to the university and
freedom.
It's like, you know, the whole world. You can do whatever you wanted at whatever time. I mean, there's no lights off. I mean, the campus at 11 p.m. is as alive, you know, as 5 p.m. I was in a mixed hall, you know. So it was really an interesting experience. I built friendships and relationships here, which have also lasted a lifetime. On campus, I was very active. I was very active in the University Christian Fellowship. Was also in Legon Pentecostal Union. I was pretty known on campus. I'm sure I would have gone into student politics if I weren't a year abroad student.
Is that where you met Ms. Amfo?
Well, I met him on Legon campus, but he wasn't a student.
Okay, yeah, how did that happen?
Well, I mean, he went to KNUST. I met him. It just happened that a number of my friends on campus were also his friends. Right? Yes. So I first met him through a very good friend of mine, a female friend of mine. But then I would go to this room and find him there and here and find him there.
Well, he wasn't a student.
Well, he wasn't. We should ask him what he was looking for.
Maybe he was looking for you.
So yeah, we met here, and yeah, the story started from here. But he was, as we used to say in those days, he was exter, not inter.
And one thing led to another.
Yeah.
Quite interesting, but I'm sure he's been very supportive throughout the journey.
Yeah, extremely. I mean, I don't know how I would have made it this far without his support. He's been very supportive, and every woman deserves such a kind of a man.
Wow. Ms. Amfo.
Big ups to him.
Right. So, which among your kids is following your steps? How many of them?
Well, there are 3 of them. There are 3 of them.
How many boys?
A son and 2 daughters.
2 girls. Okay.
Yeah, a son and 2 daughters. Well, no pressure. No pressure for them. I mean, they are all doing very well, and perhaps, I mean, my last daughter has started talking about interest in research and all of that, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, they are free to explore, you know, their interests and their likes.
No pressure at all.
No pressure. So
growing up, what did you want to become?
Interesting. I mean, different things at different
points
at different points in time. I mean, you know, the doctor phase, the lawyer phase, you know, and all of that. So different things at different times, but. Once I came,
you wanted to be a doctor.
Oh yes, I'm sure we've all had that. You know, especially in my generation.
To be a lawyer.
Yes.
Okay. And what did Mom want you to become?
Oh, my parents wanted me to become whatever I wanted to. Okay. My parents were extremely supportive. I mean, my dad, fantastic. You know, just do what you want to do, so long as it's not illegal.
Okay.
So long as
so
it's
they
as
never
long. No, they
give you any
never.
pressure
They
to become.
never gave any pressure to pursue a particular line of study. It was entirely up to you. What you wanted to do. I mean, they very much, they were both educationists, so very much interested in education, and they also understood that one needed to pursue their interest, because when you are doing something that you like, you do it, you just do it, not thinking so much about the immediate results, and because of the effort you put into, you are eventually rewarded for that. So absolutely no pressures from them, but very supportive.
Okay, so I'm sure Yofi, Manyaraba, and Ifua, when you are right?
Yeah,
they're
right.
so proud of their mother for all their achievement. But I see you're very busy. What time do you make for family?
Well, I do make time for the thing about me is that I actually started my family before I started my career.
Okay.
I had Yofi before I started my master's. So I had him, and I started my master's 4 months after that in Norway. So I've grown up with them. I mean, in terms of my career, they were there before my career. Beautiful. So I have learned to them into the things that I do. So that's how it's been like. I remember that there was a period that I was president of Linguistics Association of Ghana, and we had annual conferences in different venues, different cities, different towns. And I would go along with them for the conferences, so that they get to be with their mom, even while their mom is working, and they loved it. They looked forward to
another
annual conference, and when the conference was in Accra, they weren't happy
about it.
They weren't happy about that. So yes, I've learned to work around and alongside with them. So yeah, I do make time for for family.
And how, I mean, what do you do to relax? I mean, your own self. And you talked about how you've had to juggle between being young and being in academia and doing all the hard work, but you still have to look good. What do you do to relax?
What do I do to relax? Well, I like to listen to music. I like to dance when I have the opportunity to. I'm also an avid walker. I walk and I exercise. So yeah.
Do I get the opportunity to exercise with you?
Yes.
At least. When I grew up, I wanted to become a professor.
yes.
So yes. So you say you listen to music. Which genre of music do you listen to?
Well, I like gospel. I like high life as well.
Is this your favorite?
Well, it's one of my favorites. Yes, will you come already know? I'll be right beside you. They don't know. They don't know what's going on. When I kiss you, my baby boo.
Thank you so much for talking to us, and I must say we admire you a lot. Keep up the good work and keep contributing your quota to making Ghana a better place. Viewers, thank you so much for watching. Same time next week, I'll be bringing you another exciting edition of PM Personality Profile. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Do enjoy the rest of our programs, but remember that I'm going to be walking and exercising with Professor Appiah Amfo.
6 days in the week. I mean, unless I have a extremely early meeting or something like that, but that's my usual schedule. And yeah, so try to do at least 5 kilometers in the morning, and then yes, before I step out, and then do some stretch. Some tummy exercises and strength, a little bit of strength training.
6 days?
Yes.
5 kilometers every day?
Yes.
Oh wow, you're doing well. Okay, and sometimes do you swim?
Oh, that was many many years ago when I used to go there with my children.
Okay.
You know, and, I've abandoned that. My trainer wanted to resuscitate that, but it's an ongoing discussion.
Seven, 8, 9.